What's up, everybody? How's it going? All right. Thank you for joining us tonight for Helium Comedy's Comedy Cues. And of course, you guys have tuned in for two fabulous comics. Of course, the first one I'm going to introduce, you know him as the triple threat to comedy. He's featured on America's Got Talent. Put your hands together and clap at home because that's what we do here. Ryan Niemiller. Hey.
I'll know if you're not clapping.
That's right.
I know
That's
what
right.
everyone does with their hands at all times, so I'll know.
That's right.
How are we doing?
Thank
today?
you. Good. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is great. And of course, with you, you have Caitlin Pelufo. I can't even talk right now. I'm so hot right now. You are a comic out of New York City. You've been featured on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. So welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Right.
Hello. Here.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So I'm going to walk through just the format of the show and let people know at home what we're doing, and then we'll get into it. So everybody at home that's watching at home, this is a Q&A with some comics, and this is on Zoom, obviously. A few things about Zoom I'm going to let you know if you're not used to tuning in through Zoom. So currently, depending on your view, there's a speaker view, and there's also a gallery view. Feel free to set it however you want. It's up at the top near your images. And then throughout this show, we want you guys to submit questions, and we will answer them. So there's a little Q&A button at the bottom. Feel free to put your question in there, and we will get to it. Hopefully, we've gotten to most of the questions that will be have been asked of us over the past few days, so that's awesome. And then we're also going to do some polls now and again. So if there's a point in the show where we feel like we need to compare this to that, we'll do a poll. It'll be great, and you guys will vote on that and leave feeling fulfilled. That's how that works. Also, if you guys are currently homeschooling your kids right now while you're watching this show, get them out of here because there may be adult themes. Yeah.
I would never.
Yeah.
I wasn't told about this. Can I leave?
It's going to be me, honestly. I'm the one that's
got a bit of a sewer mouth, so I got to be careful with her. So.
Oh, those New Yorkers. I can smell it from here.
What are you talking about?
Well, great. So we're just going to get into it. How are you guys doing, huh? You doing good?
Yeah, getting by. It's been really kind of odd being at home because like right after AGT ended, like I flew home and then the next day I was touring. So like I've barely been home, and like the whole time I was out, like even though I loved touring and getting to work all these clubs and stuff, my brain was going, it'd be nice to be able to sleep for a weekend. And then now I'm home and I'm like, I really should be touring right now, right?
Yeah. So it's your fault. You used your brain to think about, I just would like some rest. And now everyone gets rest for an unforeseen amount of time. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I manifested that. That's for everyone.
Yeah,
exactly.
Thanks for the pandemic. Ugh.
Yeah. At least we have someone to blame now. That's local. That's good. Well, good. So you're in LA, Ryan? Is that where you're at right now?
I'm in Indianapolis.
Oh, you're in Indianapolis. Okay, cool. Awesome. So you're back there. Awesome.
I'm one of like I guess like the rare people who on a show like America's Got Talent says they're from Indiana and actually lives in Indiana.
Nice.
And in LA for the last 10 years and like that. So yeah, I am literally in Indiana still.
Good. You're keeping it close to your roots. That's good. And Caitlin, you of course are in Brooklyn.
Yes, and it is a tiny apartment. So quarantine's been fun. It's just
is that the entire apartment right behind you?
She's sitting on her bed.
No, we have a bathroom. So thank you. Yeah, it's been tight quarters, but we be fucking. I'm joking. I thought I'd rip off the Band-Aid.
No, that's good.
You probably have a sewer mouth. I'm giving you a sewer mouth.
So what have you guys been doing during the quarantine? Obviously, we're all finding ways to get through this. I think a lot of people are tuning into this. I think this is great. This is all the money tonight from this, guys, is going to be going towards Helium and keeping them on their feet. So when it's time to reopen, we're going to be hitting the ground running. So thank you so much for tuning into this. This is great and paying the price of admission. So I really appreciate you guys. So what do you do? How's your days? What are you doing?
I've been playing all of the video games. So I'm a video game collector, and before anyone says it, I can play damn video games because someone inevitably is going to ask how, and then I'm going to snap. That's what I do. So I'm a video game collector. So like when I've been on the road, I've been buying all this stuff that I don't have time to play. So it's actually like, obviously I'd rather be working, but it's nice getting to nerd out a little bit. So I've been, this is the first day I've worn real pants in probably a week. Nice. So you're welcome, everybody. That's for you.
Yeah. So I know that you have a Twitch stream, and you've been doing a lot of Animal Crossing, so that's exciting.
Yeah, if there's anything that you should do when you're isolated by a pandemic is play a game where you're isolated on an island.
Yeah.
And you have to build that back up. So
yeah, it's a little too perfect timing. Yeah. Are you playing video games, Caitlin, or are you just
No, I don't know what you're talking about, Ryan. What is I don't know what Animal Crossing is. It sounds like something dangerous at a zoo, but you do you. I've been watching a lot of HGTV and doing a 7-minute exercise because I'm going to get a quarantine body. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be very tight by the end of this. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, I may die or I'll have abs, one of the two. So let's find out.
Yeah, and you may die with abs. Who knows? But they're looking at you going, man, she looks good for her
first
dead.
poll? Is she going to have abs or die?
That's a great first poll. Yeah,
I think it's perfect.
All right, we'll get the audience to vote on that.
We're all hoping for death right now, but I'm fun.
Yeah. What you got in your cup there? You drink a little wine, keeping it loose?
Yeah, it's a little wine. I was going to try and lie and say, I'm a professional. I'm drinking coffee, but it's wine.
Like me.
Drinks to get good for you. Is that coffee or wine?
No, it's beer.
Yeah, we don't know what's in there. That could be anything.
Yeah, but now I told you.
Liquid heroin.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. I'm having a great time. Are you guys up to date on Tiger King? Have you guys?
I haven't actually watched it, but I feel I know the entirety of the show based on memes that people from my hometown have posted. So I'm good. I think I've got the whole the whole scope of it done.
You think, but I tell you, you got to really go down that rabbit hole.
The only thing I've been told, my girlfriend told me that basically all of the main characters are missing body parts, and yes, I don't know if I want to see my people put in such a light. Like, we're not all crazy methed out tiger owners.
That's true. That's a good point.
You need to know about people with limb differences. We're not all methed.
I thought you meant people playing your video game. That's what
No. Just cripples in general. Like, we're not all.
Yeah. All right, got it.
Oh my God. Well, that's great. So you got video games. You're doing sit-ups. That's great. So it's good. You guys are both gonna come out of this just fine, I think. I think so. I think we're all going to be okay. My neighbors just had a party tonight, so that was nice. And the woman who threw the party had brought me bread earlier in the week, so I was like, well, I can't eat that. See you later. Good having you as a neighbor.
I don't know if I trust neighbor bread anyway.
I know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's from living in an apartment complex. Like, if someone just randomly stopped by and they're like, "Here's something I made," I'm not gonna eat that. I don't think.
No. And I was like, "Oh, this is really a thick sourdough. You have a bread maker. Thanks." That's great.
Everyone's getting new hobbies during the quarantine.
I know.
I make bread now. Do you want it?
Yeah. I don't. Thank you. So we are all doing a Zoom show, obviously. So part of this quarantine, we're all finding ways to continue our lives as normally as possible. Now, I think that for comedy shows in general, Zoom and some other things have been coming up. And are you guys finding it an okay way to do comedy? Is it allowing you to connect with your fans? Do you appreciate audience feedback? No audience feedback? Like, what has been your experience in these types of shows?
Go ahead.
Well,
I've not actually performed stand-up yet via Zoom. So.
Yeah, I've done it 3 different ways. One way I did, we went to the club back when it was open. There was no audience, and they just live streamed it, and that was incredibly painful because you're on stage and no one's laughing. But my mom said I did great. So
that's like the first 8 years of my career. So
I know.
I don't want to revisit that right now.
It's like, oh, this is a horrible open mic. I can do this. And then the other one was online and you couldn't see anyone, so you're just talking into your computer. And then the third one I did where you could actually hear people laughing, and it was on Zoom. And that was very fun. I actually found myself smiling for the first time in weeks. So,
oh, that's great. You guys.
Too real, Caitlin. Too real.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. We got a poll up. Speaking of too real, we got a poll. At the end of the quarantine, will Caitlin have abs or die?
I definitely put abs.
Abs, dead, or both?
I'm putting both. I'm not confident either one.
I mean, the deader you are, the more abs you have for a while. I think.
I don't think that's how
I'm not sure there's science behind that, Shane.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Actual-
No, you definitely you shrivel, I think. So your abs, you look a little tighter. I don't know.
That's a
You're gonna
little
have abs.
Tiger King logic.
Yeah. Look at that. 52% people think you're gonna have abs.
Thank you
Great.
for believing in me.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks, audience. Yeah, everyone's like, let's just be hopeful tonight.
Yeah.
Can we just be hopeful that she'll have abs? Wouldn't that be wonderful?
We don't want her to finish the bottle of wine. Let's give her abs.
Exactly. I like that it's a bottle and not a box because it's probably a box.
I can't afford a box. Get out of here.
Oh no.
What is it? My wedding? You think I'm gonna open the box?
Well played.
So Ryan, America's Got Talent. We're going to talk about that a little bit. Obviously, that's how people, I think, were initially introduced to you. So AGT has been super helpful, I think, in terms of your career. I think you're probably super appreciative of it. Probably. Do you have any great stories or great experiences from the show or the filming of the show, like hanging out with the cast and crew? Anything that was fun?
I mean, just getting to do the entire experience, like it's still like I guess one thing I've got to do based on being quarantined right now is actually reflect on everything that happened, because everything happened so fast, and then I was right on the road, so I didn't necessarily have a chance to sit down and fully enjoy it. Like, it is insane everything that happened. Like I'm the third most talented person in this country for at least a year. That's that's official.
I didn't even think about that. That's great. You're the last one written in stone before it all went to shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it may never come back.
But the really cool thing, like, even just getting to be back there, like early on, the first couple rounds, like, you're just so trying to get to the live shows that, like, you don't really kind of think in the context, like, you're so in your own head for most of it. But then, like, once you get to the live shows, like it was awesome getting to be around all these other talented people who can do things that I'll never be able to do. Because like especially like if you do comedy with any kind of regularity, or like you're serious about it, that's what you see. You don't get to go watch acrobats and magicians and like, no, you're at dirty open mics and you're doing all this, like, you're working and trying to get things done. So for me, just getting to sit there and watch people make beer disappear. Like my best friend from the show is Dom Chambers. So he's from Australia. He's the beer magician. He does a lot of stuff making beer disappear and things like that. And just kind of getting to watch how he does things. Like I'm going to learn magic. Like, he's going to teach me magic. Like, that's something we're working on. So I guess that's kind of a fun story. Like, we're trying to figure out, because we've both been so busy, but we're trying to figure out like I have a goal to re-audition for America's Got Talent in the future as a magician.
Amazing.
I think that would be fun and really stupid. But yeah, just get all the people you get to meet. Like, it's cool to have, like, it's like summer camp where you make camp friends. So you have all these people that you wouldn't have casually run into that, like, I now talk to every day, and they've come to my shows, and I'm going to come to their shows, and it's a really cool experience all around. And I'm very grateful that I got the chance to do it, especially at that level that I did.
Yeah, that's cool. It's just the fact that you can actually like be around a lot of people that you'd never have the chance is such a fun thing. And I think that's kind of like how comedy festivals can be. You meet so many people that like you would never be in the same room with for a lot of reasons. And then you're like, well, I'm staying at their house next week because I happen to be in town. It's like you make these cool friends.
That's how Caitlin and I met. We met at Laughing Skull down
cool.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
What, 2 years ago? Was it 20? No, it was last year. It'd be 2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first time that I had met her. Like, I had seen her clip from Colbert, but I never actually met her. Like, that's the kind of cool thing about those. You run into people that, like, you're like, oh, okay, and now we're buddies.
Yeah, exactly. I love comedy festivals for that reason. I think in 1 year I did like 13 or something.
Oh, wow.
Insane. Yeah, it was quite frankly too many. But I met awesome people. Like, I met Ryan. I met a bunch of friends that, like, a lot of them ended up moving to New York. And so now I just have like close friends from, Wisconsin now living 3 doors down from me. So it's great.
Quick question. I'm going to come back to that, but quick question from my audience. And this is a non sequitur if I've ever seen one. But Robert has a question for you, Caitlin.
Okay.
Why
will not
do you,
take off my shirt and show my abs.
yeah. Why do you still have Christmas cards on your door?
Oh, you can see that. Oh boy. Okay. Oh, that's my family.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, because my bed's right here, and so when I go to sleep at night, I can see all the pictures of my family. So
Oh my God.
that's why it's a magnetized door. So I just keep them up, and I can see my niece and my nephew and all my cousins and my parents.
I love that. That's a follow-up to We
we
Be
have
Fucking.
time for second Christmas right now as well. So why not?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
might be here the whole damn time. Okay, Christmas forever.
People are starting to put Christmas lights up in neighborhoods is like a fun thing to do. And I'm like, that's really going to put different memories on Christmas than I think what people want. I know you're trying to joy it up, but we got to not do that.
Right, Scrooge.
Yeah.
Shane's actually been going around his neighborhood ripping them down.
I have been.
Yeah.
No, I just use scissors. I just look.
Yeah.
Or I pull one light bulb out.
Red, and I'm cutting down your lights.
That's right. I'm
I did
the.
it during actual Christmas. I'm going to do it now too.
That's right. So, Ryan, Scott has a question. Do you have any fun stories or interactions with the AGT judges?
With the judges, I guess I can probably tell this because it didn't air on television. But I made Julianne Hough curse.
Oh, really?
Which was awesome. It was a very cool experience. She had my back. It was very positive.
Okay.
So during the audition, I kind of made I told the story about, and it's happened before, like bookers watching me perform. I got a standing ovation, but they didn't want to book me back because they don't book novelty acts. Like that's essentially what they told me.
Oh, damn.
So I told that story as part of like my pre-set interview. And after I did my set and I did really well, I got a full standing ovation. Everything went great. When it was Julianne Hough's time to talk, she was like, "That guy was an asshole." And I was like, "Whoa!" Wait a minute. The show just spent the last 2 days making sure that I knew I couldn't curse.
Yeah.
And the first thing that's told to me is a curse word. So yeah, that was cool. Julianne Hough was great. She was super sweet. It's kind of like weird that we have an inside joke. So I did a joke during the judge cuts about going through a drive-through and somebody signing "thank you" to me. So that's what Julianne Hough just do all the time now. Every time she would give me comments when I was on stage, I would just do that.
That's amazing.
She would do it back. So it's, again, another surreal thing that a year ago, I wouldn't have thought that me and Julianne Hough would be buddies. But
yeah, that's wild. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things like when you start moving in these different circles, it's weird that you're like, oh, I have so-and-so's number on my phone. It's fine. It's normal. And it's just like, no, is it normal? But it is. It's crazy. And I think that like Ryan, a guy in the audience, Ryan, has a question I think kind of plays with this. It's how has becoming a well-known name through AGT changed you in comparison to your pre-AGT stand-up days? Obviously, people and circles is one thing, but what else?
I like, this will sound like I'm just trying to be like faux humble about it. I don't think it's changed me because I'm still confused by all of it. I think, because ask anyone, like most people know, like this takes a long time. Like this business it's a marathon. I joke that I'm a 13-year overnight sensation. Like I've been doing comedy since 2006. I've suddenly appeared and people were like, "Oh, where'd he come from?" No, I've been doing dive bars in Kentucky for 3 drunks who didn't know it was comedy night for like 12 years. Like I've earned my stripes, but for me, it's just so weird because it's like, especially with a show like America's Got Talent, I didn't suddenly figure out how to do stand-up last year. I've been funny for a while, but now the fact that people are seeing it and like they come to shows on purpose, like they're actually like, they're driving 5-6 hours, some people have told me, to come see me perform. Like that's the weirdest part about it is like for me, I'm just a dude who's been working hard and got lucky. Like that's kind of how I look at myself with this. And then so many people it's really weird to be like the most exciting thing about somebody's year. Like I've had people come to shows and they're crying and like things like that. And I don't get it. I'm just some jackass from the trailer park in Indiana. And so like that's been kind of like the weirdest thing that's changed, is like realizing how much your words mean to people. Like just to know that like you can really impact people in a positive way has been really cool, and I don't take it for granted because no one has to care.
Right. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I think we all realize just knowing that our words actually mean something is something that it's like. I think we all go through those phases in comedy where you're like, I'm just gonna say whatever. It's not a joke that I necessarily agree with. I'm just gonna say it because I want to try it out. And then like years later, you're like, God, I said that. And now it's kind of like becoming a superhero. It's a responsibility. The responsibility is like great power, So you really have to keep it in check a lot of times.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Every joke you do, that's the thing I always get so mad about, and it's usually like open micers who are always talking about like, well, this PC culture, everyone's too
Oh,
PC.
yeah.
No, you just have to be funnier than you are offensive.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
everyone works blue. The most successful comics on the planet all work blue. Every Netflix special, everyone's cursing. You just have to make sure that what you're saying is funnier than it is offensive. That's it. That's the only thing you have to do. And sometimes the goalposts change a little bit, and what wasn't offensive 10 years ago is now tough. Deal with it. Evolve.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
keep
writing. And now's the perfect time to be doing that for sure. I got lots of jokes that I'm like, well, I have no place to perform them, but that's great. I'll get them out there one day.
I've actually been forgetting jokes I've already written. I went the other way.
I'm
not writing anything new. I'm just getting rid of old stuff.
That's good. A clean slate. So I know that so I've seen a lot of comedians do really bad on AGT, and it's almost like that's why you kind of watch for a comedian on there, because they're gonna just eat shit and die, and it's a lot of fun as a comic because I'm like, that's fun, but like like
You're cool.
Thanks, Shane.
I know, but because I can see myself in that position where I'm like, this is gonna be it, and then the audience is like, we don't like any of this, which is typically what happens on there. So like, have you, like, when you were on AGT, were you hanging out with other comics that didn't do as well, and you were like, how would you react to that? Be like, well, that's the breaks. Like, how do you talk to them about that, and what was their experience versus yours?
I mean, when I was actually there, for my actual audition days and stuff like that, the only comic that there was two comics I saw, and both, luckily, so I didn't have to have awkward conversations, they both did well.
Oh,
so
good.
One was Kevin Schwartz, who is a super funny comic out of like Madison, Wisconsin. He made it to the judge cut, so he made it through one round. Does a lot of one-liners. It's like very kind of punny. He's incredibly brilliant. He's a really smart mind, and I was glad that he got to do that. And then the other one was Jackie Fabulous, who I've literally known since I started comedy. Probably it was really kind of crazy that. So when I was going into that audition, like, you have no idea what to expect. You don't know what the day is going to be like. You don't know who's going to be there. I'm freaking out. The first face that I saw when I walked into the waiting room was Jackie, who I hadn't seen in 12 years. So for me, it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, we started together, like in Orange County, doing, the same mics and stuff. So it was kind of like a nice thing. Like, the first face I saw was someone I knew. But
cool.
But yeah, that show is hard for comedians.
Yeah.
Because like, that's not a format that's designed for stand-up. I've been a road comic for the last however many years. So I'm doing 45 minutes to an hour every night. So you don't even warm up in 2 minutes. Like, you get 2 minutes on that AGT stage. Like, I haven't even said my name sometimes within the first 2 minutes of a set. And then you have to get out there and you have to hit them hard right away, because you don't have time to build to something. You have to get them right away and keep them there, which is punch, 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 punch. And I think a lot of comics, if they don't do well on the show, because that's hard to transition to. If that's not your normal style, if your normal style is like telling stories and kind of like really getting into something, you can't succeed on AGT doing that, because you have to be very punchy. You have to make them remember you right away.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's kind of a hard thing. I mean, a lot of comedy now is very Vines and TikTok, it's all like really quick, rapid fire. So it's kind of what people are used to. And then you're also dealing with an audience that's in a theater, so it's a giant audience, and it's just so many factors that you really have to deal with as a comedian.
The one good thing about being there, though, that if you remember this going in, so if anyone ever happens to get to that point where they can audition for it, the audience is rooting for you. Nobody is there hoping you bomb. So if you go in there knowing they're already on your side, and I think that just applies to most comedy shows, there's obviously jerks who like to see people bomb, and that's fine.
Sorry.
But if people buy if people buy a ticket to go to a comedy show, they don't want their $20 to be wasted on terrible comedy. They want you to do well. You know, so if you go in thinking, hey, they want you to do well, it helps a ton.
Definitely, yeah. It's all about a mindset, and I think that's a lot of people don't realize is you oftentimes have to like just make sure you're in the right headspace when you're doing comedy for sure, or else you can go down a bad path. I just want to remind the audience real quick: hit that Q&A button at the bottom, submit your questions. We're creating a fun list of questions here. We got some we're going to continue to ask you guys, but make sure you definitely hit that.
Do your worst.
Yeah, do it.
And we'll let
bring
you
it on.
Yeah, I'm the jerk of the evening.
Questions.
Yeah. Okay, Caitlin, here we go. This one's for you then.
Buckle in.
This one's from Scott. He wants to know, Caitlin, when did you know you wanted to be a comedian?
I probably knew about 2 years before I actually tried it. I've always been a big comedy fan. I've always loved it, but I never thought I could do it because I always thought that, you know, comedians were all writers or performers, and I was an athlete. And so I was like, oh, I can't do that. That's for, you know, people of the theater or something like that. And then I finally, 2 years went by and I was like, oh, I still want to do this. And so I just broke up with my boyfriend and went to, they were giving like a free seminar, like on learn how to do comedy or whatever. But at the end of the seminar, they pulled a name out of the hat to find out, to win a free class to learn how to do stand-up comedy. And it was my name. Nice. So then I was like, well, now I got to try it. So yeah, I've always loved it. I always thought I'd be, because I'm loud, you know, I always thought I'd be okay. Yeah. You know, I'm not shy. Yeah. Some say I have a little bit of gumption. But some people on Twitter call it a loudmouth bitch, but I'm fine.
Semantics, but, really.
Tomato, tomato, I read. But yeah, so I eventually tried it, and then I think I did it one time, and I was like, oh, I'm sold. This is what I'll do forever.
Nice.
So,
I like that your introduction to comedy was the equivalent of like a fishbowl at a restaurant. Put your business card in here, and we'll call you if you get a free meal. And they're like, yeah, you got a free comedy class. Come on by. Yeah, that's good. And you've been doing comedy how long? You used to do performing arts, right? And before you got into comedy?
Before I did fine art, yeah. I went to grad school. I did photography and performance art, but it's not like performance theater. It was more like, it was like.
So you weren't like covered in a meat suit?
Push-ups over a bed of nails because the patriarchy is killing my art. And like that. It was very
not
deep.
That that's not important.
No, I mean, it was going to no one. So, yeah, I've been doing it for 6 years now. Yeah. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It's irritating. You're so funny after 6 years. It's like, it makes me physically ill. So, how dare you?
You're very kind. But I've also had 2 failed careers before this, so I have nothing to lose. I am.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. You don't want to have a backup plan. That's what I've always had, is a backup. And that's how I make my living. And I'm like, well, I got a foot in 2 different pools. Guess I'm just going to rip my pants.
Gonna do the splits at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've failed so often. I'm like, oh, what am I gonna fail again? Bring it.
Yeah, come on.
I welcome it.
Yeah. All right. Let's wrestle this dragon.
All right. So speaking of wrestling a dragon, Susan wants to know, my fiance. No, fiance. Is that how that's spelled? I had no idea. I read that as finance. Weird. I'm not a speller or a reader. My fiance and I are getting creative with date nights. Tonight, this is part of our date night. What are you and your loved one doing to stay sane and stay in the relationship this whole time?
Oh. I mean, we'd be fucking. So.
Yeah. Staring at those Christmas cards.
Staring into the soul of my grandmother.
Right.
Ryan, I'll let you.
It's been a little tricky. My girlfriend lives 2,000 miles away, so she's in Southern California. So I kind of have I'm moving out there the end of the year if there still is a world. at the end of this year. That's the plan. So like for us, I mean, it's been stressful just because you feel like you're trapped, but it's kind of been business as usual a little bit. We're trying to I don't want to get into too much detail, but we're at least trying to stay as romantic as possible.
Yeah, Zoom's a lifesaver.
We watch Caitlin fucking. That's what we do. We watch
Yeah.
that we do it.
Yeah, we're gonna call a conference.
Every Friday.
Oh my
cheap.
God, that's amazing.
Yeah, my boyfriend and I were actually quarantined together, and so far so good. But you know.
Now, where's he hiding in that giant apartment? Is he in the bathroom? Is that why?
He's a tiny guy. He's under the bed. No, he's in our living room / kitchen. So
he's in front of you.
Yes, he is sitting on my lap.
Perched on the laptop like a hawk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boyfriend. He's holding it like this. I love you, honey. But yeah, we've what did we do? Oh, we made steak one night. We bought steak, and so we like made nice dinner to like be romantic. But mostly he wants to get out of the city, so we're gonna try and go to a cabin in the middle of nowhere next week.
Good.
Where no one can touch us or breathe on us, or
I like that you're turn it from a thriller to a horror movie. That's great.
Yeah, we're gonna die. Yeah. Yeah.
Where no one can hear our screams or anything.
Yeah. Or our coughs.
Bet your ass I'll have abs.
Yeah, because you're gonna be chopping wood. You're gonna be like looking for truffles in the woods. It's gonna be a great time.
Did you just call me a pig?
I told you I could smell your mouth. That sewer mouth of yours.
Smells like Cabernet.
Speaking of sewer mouth, we have a question about clean comedy. Trevor wants to know, is it harder to do clean comedy for a network show like AGT, or is it harder for like Colbert?
I don't know the full Colbert like rule set for what they kind of, because I know all the late night shows have a little bit of nuance to what you're allowed on certain ones compared to others. I can only speak for AGT. They're pretty strict. And I don't say that like in a bad way. I know a lot of people like think that like, oh, they're really stifling you. And it's like, well, it's fine. Like if you're a comedian who wants to do that show, you should be able to do what they want. It's their TV show. It's their baby. They're letting you on their show. So they were that strict, but like in that common sense kind of way. It's a show that's on a weeknight in prime time that Christian families in middle America watch together. Yeah, you can't say the F word. Duh. Like, you know.
Unless it's faith.
Exactly. That's the only F word that's allowed. But even with that, like they still let you get, like, it's not like they're complete prudes about it, you know? Like, I got to, essentially during Champions, I got to do a jerk off and a sock joke. Ooh. And they were okay with, so it's like, as long as you're like good with like innuendo and you have put a little bit of, it's just use common sense. But it is tough just because you don't know, like clean comedy is such this like generic term that like everyone has a different definition for what actually is clean. And I've realized that from being on tour now, because usually like the clubs that I'm performing at, they'll provide the MC. And the amount of time I'll tell them like, hey, I don't care if you're dirty or not, but just know that AGT crowds are expecting a clean show. So you might not want to lead with something super dirty. And they'll be like, oh, that's fine. I'm clean anyway. And then their first joke will be like, isn't it weird that the only way I can come is if a dude's jerking me off? Like, well, I didn't say the F word. What's your problem? You know, and you just go, all right. So everyone has their own definition. So that was the stressful part, is just something that you might think is perfectly clean. They might look at it and go, well, no, because it implies drug use or it implies sex or it implies this. So you have to like really, you have to play by their rules though. It's their baby.
Yeah, and with TV, you're basically beholden to advertisers. It's not necessarily the audience, but you're really like, well, I definitely don't want this advertiser to pull anything from the show because this is millions of dollars. So it's interesting how it plays out. Caitlin, what was your experience on Colbert?
Well, Colbert was a little bit more lenient. I would say definitely AGT, you have to be a lot cleaner than Colbert. Colbert right now is a pretty liberal show because he talks, about what he talks about. And so that gives a more liberal audience. And so I mentioned porn in my late night set, which I don't think would go over on AGT. No. But it's funny because like I did one joke, like I did my porn joke, which I thought was dirty. And then I had one joke where I call myself a dick slayer. And they were like, no, you can't do that. What are you, crazy? And I was like, well, you're letting me talk about porn, like in this other part.
And you can
like,
say dick on a lot of those too. Like, I think you just can't refer to a penis as a dick. Like, it's weird. Like, there's always like, you can.
I'm a Richard Slayer.
Yeah. Clean comedy.
A tallywhacker slayer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they work with you. You have to type everything out. Everything has to get approved by the lawyers. And it's very strict. And you have to do it word for word. And I was bad. I riffed a little bit. I meowed at an audience member, which was, you shouldn't do that. And
I mean,
but they left it in because it wasn't too offensive. So there was a chance that I could have had my thing cut in half. But luckily, I didn't fuck up too bad.
Wow, yeah, that's good, because I know a lot of places like late night shows will basically not rewrite, but be like, okay, take this word out, change this, and they're really like tightening it up for their audience. So it's good that you're able to get a meow in there.
Yeah, I got a meow, baby. I got meow and porn.
It tied the whole set together, quite frankly.
It did.
Without the meow, the whole thing is trash. You have to have the meow. You got to keep it.
Ryan sees me, okay? And that's why we bonded, okay?
So when you guys get back on the road, do you guys have a road ritual, or do you guys have a type of I guess like a ritual? Do you like have favorite places you eat? Like, are you a big Chili's fan, or do you have like mini golf? Like, what do you guys
Chili's
do for fun?
isn't my rider, actually. I refuse to before.
Give me
Nice.
Baby.
I'm pretty boring. Like it's one of those things that like people are shocked with how dull I actually am. There's a comedian. He lives in LA now. I've known him for years. His name's Chris Bowers, out of Indianapolis. He was one of the owners of Morty's when Morty's still existed.
Mm-hmm.
And Bowers always called me the most boring comedian that he ever met, because like I go to shows, I'm very friendly, everyone likes me, I like everybody, we have a good time, and then the second I'm done, I'm gonna go home and play video games now, because I don't drink, I don't do anything like that. I'm not trying to pick up strange or whatever things that people do. When I'm on the road, there's two things that I do always do though. One, I'd have to eat at least one place that is unique to that location, because you can get like, I have nothing against Chili's. I think Chili's is delicious. You can eat Chili's anywhere on the planet. Like, you can just always have that. So I want something that's at least one thing that's there. And then also, because I'm a video game collector, I always look for little like brick and mortar bon pa shops and try to add things to the collection, because it gives me something tangible to focus on. Because as much as I love the road, it's also a little lonely too. You're away from your loved ones. You're away from your bed. You're just kind of bouncing around from hotel to hotel. So it gives me something kind of positive to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Good, yeah. Yeah, how about you, Caitlin?
Yeah, I do thrift shopping. That's what I love to do.
When we worked in Buffalo, wasn't your car like filled with a table or something like that? Like,
it almost was. It was very close, but the dimensions didn't fit. But if I have my Ford Fiesta, I am taking shit. I got these like brass figurines. I go, they're adorable. Look, and it's got a little baby. I mean, I just go nuts. I'm sorry, I'm holding his head. I'm killing the baby. It's not that kind of show. But I do. I go to, and I love breakfast spots. So I'll find out from the staff where the breakfast spot is. I'll go there in the morning. I get a little writing done, and then I'll go thrift shopping around town. And then I definitely drink some wine at night. And then I get ice cream, vanilla with chocolate syrup on top every single time.
Nice. That's a good ritual. That's good. You gotta stay sane on the road. One thing I found with all my travels is that almost everywhere is exactly the same. And I hate to say that, but it's like the United States becomes so homogenized in terms of like everyone's got this, everyone has this. So it's really hard to find those nice spots that you want to hit when you go to a place. Have you guys found that being on the road?
Generally speaking, and I think just the nature of where a comedy club's going to do well, you're going to be probably in a maybe strip mall area, or you want to be where there's going to be foot traffic. So you're going to see an Applebee's and a Foot Locker and like whatever sports clips and like all that kind of stuff right there. So you kind of have to sometimes dig a little bit. I'll usually ask the staff. The staff is usually really good for, hey, where's somewhere I can go to get this? And they're like, oh, I know this guy. Or here's my barber. You can go get that.
Yeah.
Stuff.
I like to drive too. Like I'll drive, I think the most I'll drive is 13 hours. If it's 13 hours or less, I'll drive there because then I can, once I'm there, I can take my car and go wherever. I'm not beholden to the public transit or whatever. I can go, oh, we have, beautiful, hike up over here. Like, sure, I'll go do that, The car gives you that kind of freedom. So,
nice.
And I'm cheap. So,
yeah, I was going to say, I was like, you've heard of a rental car, right?
Yeah, but I mean, my little Ford Fiesta, she does great. Okay, Ryan's been in it. Okay, it was a party. We had a good
very
time.
Spacious. It's very nice. I got to extend my knees like almost all the way in that front seat. It was very nice.
He was very squished in there. But
yeah, in that terrible snowstorm that we drove through. That's that like 45-minute drive became like a 4-hour drive. So it was very.
Oh,
nice.
That was terrifying. I'm so scared. I'm from California, so I was like white knuckling it, like, oh, I'm gonna kill Ryan.
Yeah, I found out I had knuckles because I was white knuckling too. I didn't even know I had them. And I was like, oh, there they are. Thanks, Caleb.
It's amazing what fear can bring out in you. It brought out your knuckles.
Certainly knuckles for me.
Yeah. That's good. So along the ideas of this, any particular spots you like to hit, do you guys have any superstitions or routines that you want to do or have to do before you go on stage? That question is from Laura in the audience.
Laura, any superstitions? I think my superstition, I don't know if this counts, but is like to not really do anything special. Like I think the more that I kind of like ultra prepare or kind of get in my head, I'm gonna do worse. Like that was my fear on AGT because like obviously you can't wing AGT. That's something you can't really go out there and just be like, oh, we'll see how the audience is, and then I'll do that. You can't really do it that way.
You're not riffing on AGT?
No, not really. Only during the interviews that you do after with the judges, that's where you can riff. Honestly, I think that's where a lot of my success was, is that I knew how to riff from doing stand-up in horrible places for so long that like you learn to deal with hecklers and stuff like that. So I honestly just like getting those extra moments where you could get little jokes in really helped. But my routine or my superstition is don't remind me that I'm about to perform for hundreds of people. Like kind of stay out of my head. I don't want to be in my head about like actually realizing what I'm doing in that moment. I think it's much easier for me just to kind of go out there and then just have fun, and then afterwards go, oh damn, that was a lot of people. Like that's how my sets felt on AGT. Like I would go out there and everything before it super stressful. You go out there and perform for the 2.5 minutes. That I've performed thousands of shows. It's just a show. You're kind of in that moment, and then the second I got off stage, I was like, oh God, like that just happened, didn't it? Oh no.
Oh, we went through this.
Yeah, I mean, I write out a set list because I get super. Right about 5 minutes before showtime, I think Ryan saw this when I was opening for him in Buffalo. My heart goes nuts, and I'm like, I'm gonna bomb. This is terrible. What am I doing? I should pick a different career. Oh my God! And I have like this. But if I write out a set, like right when I get to the club, I sit down, write out a set, and I fold it up and put it in my back pocket. Then I go on stage and I get the first joke out, and I'm totally fine. But if I have to write it out just so like I have a plan, like a backup plan. I have never once brought out the sheet of paper and looked at it. It's like just a security blanket in my back pocket.
Hey, having it there just in case, like I haven't used a set list in a long time, but like when I was first starting, like that's how I kind of had to wean myself off it, because when we all first start, I think a lot of us, we write down like basically word for word what we're going to say. And then the problem I was having is if something happened, whether it was a heckler, a server drops a glass, or like, the blender goes off, like something unexpected, it would throw me off, and then I couldn't remember what I was doing. So the way I weaned myself off was just writing it down and then just pocketing it. That way I know, hey, if shit hits the fan, I can grab that, but I never needed it at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm hoping
to get the Ryan status.
Yeah.
Where we'll just go out there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't have that confidence yet, Ryan. You call me Caitlin Pelfo. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah. My security blanket is tennis shoes because I can just run off stage. If I need to. See you later. They don't like me. I gotta go.
I gotta go.
I gotta go.
It's a good way to end the show.
I'll meet you at Chili's.
Yeah. Yeah, I like to end my sets. You've had enough. See you later.
Yeah, we're both tired. I'll see you.
Yeah. So this is from an anonymous audience member.
Uh-oh.
Keeping it secret. Once things are back to normal, will coronavirus jokes be off limits?
I think they'll end up being off limits based on how many thousands of comics do poor ones. It'll just become hacky.
Oh, it'll be hack, yeah.
But like I don't think I'm a strong believer. Again, because it goes back to what we talked about earlier. As long as you are more funny than you are offensive, it's not off limits. I think the problem will be, because this is what we've all been dealing with. All comics are stir crazy right now, and we're all thinking and writing about the same thing that's going on right now. I think it'll become off limits because like I don't want to do any coronavirus jokes because I know there's going to be thousands of comics that are doing them. So I'm going to do something else.
Yeah. There's other viruses.
Again, like a lot of it kind of happens, and there's always time too. Like there's a time limit on things. Will it be if 20 million people die? Yeah, we're probably not going to joke about it the first show we come back. But like people make Holocaust jokes, whether people make 9/11 jokes. Like you just have to, again, it's about being funnier than you are offensive, and knowing your audience. Like my audiences are right now, it's very AGT strong. So it's people who watched me on that show. They love AGT. They watch with their family. They don't want to hear me joking about 9/11 or the Holocaust or the 20 million people that just died. Like that's not why they come to see me. So it doesn't do me any good.
Right.
It's not part of like my brand, and plus I just don't think that stuff's funny personally. So I wouldn't do it. But as far as like a steadfast rule, I don't think anything's off limits just based on what it is. It's just some things you have to be really, really talented to pull off talking about them, and most comics who try aren't talented enough to do that.
Yeah.
Because like for me, it's the reason I would never try to say like racial slurs on stage. I'm good at comedy, but I don't have the ability to pull that off, nor would I try. Like, why would you do it? But it's not off limits per se.
Right.
I'm not going to go to jail for it, but it's not, there's no benefit for me trying it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, coronavirus, I mean, I'll give it like, there's going to be so many, and it's just going to be because if you look at like a showcase show at a club, sometimes there's 10 people on a show. If the first 3 minutes of everyone said is corona, that last person is going to be like, I'm not going to do a corona joke. The audience is going to shoot me dead. This is insane.
No, the sad thing is they probably still will do the coronavirus joke. That's the problem.
Because that's all they've got.
Yeah. No, it's my time. I wrote it. I have the best angle. It's like, no, it's all the same.
Yeah, it's all parallel thinking. You stole my joke. No, we're trapped in the house. We all have the same joke. We got it.
Yeah. My drunk uncle posted the same Facebook status as that joke. Maybe. Maybe it's something else there.
Yeah.
Drunk uncle is his nickname for me, so that's fun.
That is fun. That's good.
Enjoy your wine.
Yeah, that's perfect. You have it right here.
Yeah,
ready to go.
Uncle.
I'm gonna ask you one more question. If we see one more after that, maybe I'll ask it. But I would like to know who you guys, comedian wise, who you are excited about, who's upcoming that you guys have worked with or you watch that you think is amazing. Who do you guys like to follow?
That is tough.
Yeah, I know. It's like
I recently opened for Maria Bamford, and she's incredible.
Yeah.
She's insanely talented and smart and thoughtful, and then just her act outs and everything. Like, she's not an up and comer, but she's just.
I was gonna say, Maria,
45,000 times.
I think she's gonna make it.
Yeah, one day.
Yeah,
I feel pretty good.
You would think that she would be like a household name with the amount of talent that is in her pinky. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but that she awe-inspired me, and she's incredible. So I mean, I could watch her. I could watch her do the same hour, 50 times.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, as far as up and coming, like people I think who are just like ready for their big break, I have him tour with me a lot across the country as my buddy Dave Yates. He works harder than just about anybody in this business. I've known him since literally he started. We were doing the same like Elks lodges and stuff in the Midwest, and it's been cool getting to have him on the road with me a lot. He's super funny. He sells his own hot sauce. He makes and sells his own hot sauce, which is amazing.
Nice.
I'll give him a free little plug here. hahahotsauce.com. It's
Nice.
very good.
Oh, that's great.
It's very good. And then another person, I know, Caitlin, you know him as well, and I'm glad he's starting to get a little heat behind him, is Renan. Renan Hertzberg.
Oh, yeah.
He just had
he's amazing.
fantastic set on
Gordon, yeah.
It was amazing. And he's
So
a Louisville, Kentucky guy. I've known him for probably 10 years. Renan is so painfully funny. Like he's one of those writers that like every angle he comes up with something, you get mad at him that you didn't think of it because he's so good.
Yeah.
I highly recommend looking up his Corden. I haven't got to see his he did a Comedy Central thing here not that long ago too. The Comedy Cellar.
Comedy Cellar, yeah.
I think that he is incredibly funny. Highly recommend him, and he's a good dude. I've known him for a lot. I for the longest time I didn't think Renan actually had a set because like the first 10 shows I did with him, because he has a short fuse. He's a very quick-tempered Jew. So like he's very on top. So like someone would heckle him at a show we were doing, and he would spend the rest of his 10 minutes just yelling at them. It was funny, but I was like, oh, maybe that's just his thing. He doesn't have.
Yeah.
And then when I found out like what a good writer he was, I was like, damn it. I don't quit heckling him. Let him tell his jokes.
Yeah, he's so good. I did a show with him in 2014, just like a small open mic show, and he like headlined it, and I was like, he's so good. He's amazing. And I was like, it's always fun to like do a show, like even if it's just an open mic. Is a place called the Derby, something Derby. I can't remember what it's called. And it's always fun to do open mic where you're just like, this person is great. And then you just like see him pop up a few years later, and you're like, I knew it. This person. It's always fun. Yeah, he's great.
Think he's great. And then Amy Miller, she's one that's also like run on status where she's like she's been opening for everybody and their mother. She's so funny. She's been doing it forever. And she's great. I think she's the next one that's got to have something coming out pretty soon. Amy Miller, but
cool.
I mean, who knows?
Well, speaking of coming out pretty soon, Ryan, this is a question from Jack. This will be our last question of the evening. Jack wants to know, any plans for a Netflix special or a TV sitcom?
Well, I think we always have plans for a Netflix special or a TV sitcom. Unfortunately, you kind of need them to agree to it as well.
Yeah.
That's always the problem.
Yeah.
It was something I would love to do, honestly. Like, and I don't say this by any means trying to downplay the importance of a Netflix special. Like, I don't want to make it seem like it's not a big deal, because I would absolutely love that. But kind of the next thing I want to do is TV or movies. Like, I would love to transition into that. My background's in theater. I'm one of those performers that Caitlin spoke of earlier. Like, that's how you get into stand-up. My degree's in theater. I did a lot of summer stock theater. I've done a lot of that. And kind of once I started stand-up, I fell in love with it and kind of ignored a lot of that for a while. But, I mentioned this during AGT, is like, when I was growing up, there was no one that looked like me on television. There's nobody with limb differences. And if you do happen to see one, they're a grizzled military vet who had a leg. You know, it's always the
Yeah.
same thing. There's nothing unique to it. So like, I kind of want to try to be the next person. I want to just be on a sitcom and be a guy who happens to have a disability, not be the disabled guy. So that's kind of the next goal. It's the next thing I want to tackle. I'm loving touring. I'm never gonna quit stand up. It's gonna be something it's who I am as a human being. But like, I want to do more. I don't want this to be the like, AGT is amazing and I'm forever grateful. But if in 5 years I'm still the guy from AGT, I effed up somewhere. I did not capital. I didn't do something right. So like, that's the next step. I would love to do, you know, just be on a sitcom. We'll start with that, and we'll kind of go from there. But that is the next kind of big goal for my
Oh yeah, that's great. That's awesome. How about you, Caitlin? What's in the hopper for you?
Did she freeze?
Oh, she froze. At least it didn't like freeze on her being like some like bad face. That's a good face.
Yeah, I like that. I think my answer was so good.
Yeah, it
that
just
like she's not frozen. She's just in awe.
Yeah, exactly.
Of how articulate and well spoken that answer was.
Yeah, no, that was good. Well, tell you what, I'm going to leave you in charge of plugging her. But do you have anything in terms of social media that you want to get out there so people know? And there she is. She's back.
She's muted.
She's muted, but come back. There we go.
Is that how you like me? Okay.
You're back. No, we want to hear that mouth, that sewer mouth.
That
not only
sewer
just
trash mouth. I got.
Thank you. That's the name of my album, Trash Mouth.
Yeah, Trash
Sewer
Mouth.
I thought it was like your Smash Mouth cover band.
Yeah,
Trash Mouth. Where you just do really dirty versions of All Star and Walking on the Sun.
So we talked about your frozen screen for a little bit, but now you're back. Basically, we're at the end, but I just wanted you guys to kind of let people know where they can find you on social media, what you're working on next, and what to look out for. What can we expect during these times and the next times?
Go ahead, Caitlin. I will. You go first.
Sure. Yeah. I am at Caitlin Palufo on all the things, mostly Instagram. That's the one I'm on most. And someone asked earlier about thrift stop stories. Whenever I go and do a thrift shop.
It's hard to say.
Jesus Christ, the wine.
How did Macklemore do that song?
I don't know.
So hard to say.
But what a catchy tune. But yeah, I always put them on Instagram stories and stuff like that. But yeah, at Caitlin Palufo on Instagram and Twitter, and CaitlinPalufo.com is my website. And then I have a podcast called Beasts. It's the worst sports show because we talk about sports. We don't, but we have a good time. And then I have a podcast coming out called Good Time Gal about drunk stories. So
fun.
Yeah, it's very on brand.
Yeah.
That's coming out probably within the month. So,
great.
Yeah.
How about you, Ryan?
So you can find me on everything: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Xbox Live, whatever you do. It's at Cripple Threat 8. That's the number 8. Yeah, right now I'm hoping this all kind of gets back to it so I can get back to touring. That's what I was really enjoying. I've been Twitch streaming, kind of something to connect with people and kind of keep my brain going. You can see the twitch.tv/CrippleThreat8. I'm playing a lot of Animals Crossing. I'll be doing some other stuff on there as well. Also kind of in the early stages of working on kind of like where she was talking about taking the pictures of her thrift store stuff, putting together a little web series for when I'm video game hunting on the road. So the little kind of stores I find and kind of talking to those people and being bad at negotiating because I will take no for an answer every single time. And, so yeah, we're just kind of working on that and just writing right now. We have no excuse. It's time to write.
That's right. What a perfect time to just keep being creative and do what you can do. I think it's a great time to do that. So before we get out of here, I want to say thank you to the audience for tuning in.
Yes,
and
thank you.
asking questions. This has been a lot of fun. As I said, this money is going to Helium. And then there's also a separate GoFundMe for Helium Comedy and Good Nights Comedy employees to help them in this time. So please look that up, Google that, and help them out. And that is
something I will strongly recommend. I'm just going to interject here.
Oh, perfect.
It is, the comics, we're always going to find a venue to perform. Like obviously it sucks losing this income, but like this helps keep the clubs open because we want to be able to have comedy clubs to perform at. when we are done there.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, if you can support, I know it's tough for everybody. I'm not gonna pretend that you're all living large and doing great too. But if you have a couple bucks, you can spend. The staffs work harder than any of the comics do. Their job is a lot harder because basically they get none of the praise and all of the blame if something goes wrong. So they're superheroes. So if you can throw a couple bucks their way, please do.
Man, that was good. I'm going to steal that for the next one we do. That's like, you wrote my bit. That was great.
Yeah, I want you just play that audio.
I will.
And
Oh,
just
we should.
put your mouth to it.
I will do it.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, there's a delay. I'll be like, it's Zoom. It's weird. Yeah. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you so much, Caitlin. Be safe out there. And this has been a lot of fun. And check out heliumcomedy.com, goodnightscomedy.com. And tune into more of these live shows. These are a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a good time.
That was so much fun.
Yeah. Hey, what are you guys doing tomorrow? Let's do it again.
Let's hang out.
Let's do it.
I'm actually I got a lot going on.
You know what, Ryan? Go play your little videos.
We just got big timed. Thank you again, everybody. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Caitlin. Have a great night.
Bye.